Hey guys, welcome to another Team FYB video. Today we're going to be talking about the June 2023 meta. If you're unsure of what deck to play, or you're unsure what's going to be at your locals or your next regionals, you've come to the right place. With that, let's get started. Get started with the top meta. If you are looking to build something that is super strong, super reliable in the current format, I can only recommend these three decks right here. Of course, we're going to talk about Cashiera. The deck may have gotten hit on the ban list with a ban to the Diablosis and the limits on Unicorn and a Rise Heart. However, this deck is still super strong. It is still able to set up a Rise Heart, which is still an amazing boss monster, macros out the entire board, and even on top of that, a Rise Heart can still be protected by even the common hand traps or floodgates, making it even more obnoxious to out. I think it's still going to be the top deck of the format. Next up, of course, is level 2 Turbo, aka Sprite. Sprite only got a light slap on the wrist, losing Sprite starter down to 2, as well as some of its other variants only getting light hits on the list too. I think Sprite is a super consistent deck. Any way to get to the Sprite Engine and any way to support that Sprite Engine will work perfectly. We have 3 variants on the board right here. Of course, have Runic Sprite, capable of just controlling the board. With Fountain only put to 2, that makes literally no difference to any of the builds that currently exist. VTuber Turbo, of course, with Live Twin Evil Twins. Probably the most consistent version of Sprite. The Evil Twins just grant that extra level of consistency, an extra level of just backup plans to Sprite, and it can fit a lot of non-engine, which Sprite has always been able to do. And of course, we do need to watch out for the Monstrous Revenge support with Assault Synchron, making Apple Bottom Jeans or Ringo Worm Turbo Sprite a very potent synchro strategy that makes use of Bestial's Light and Darks Be Gone. So definitely a deck to look out for in the top 3. And speaking of Bestials, of course, we have Bestial Control or Dragon Link for those who are longer time Yu-Gi-Oh players. Dragon Link is still an incredibly scary deck, whether it is just Seal's Pass with a lot of Bestials in hand, or it goes through the rocket lines to make its Savage Dragons, its Borderland Dragons, and even its Etude plays with the Bestials, it can be a massive threat. It's also another deck that really benefits from some of the meta callouts, such as the Strength of Bestials, and it is also much stronger now that some people may be off of Droll and Lockbird as a result of the previous format. I do believe Dragon Link is a deck to look out for, and probably third on our meta lists right here. Let's talk about our tier decks. Of course, these decks are just as capable of taking on any local or any regional. However, they may not be as consistent or as simple as our top meta decks. Let's, of course, talk about Branded Fusion. The branded deck, of course. Whether you're playing it Highlander or whether you're playing it for purely consistent Branded Fusion, that deck is still very crazy. I can't ever call it tier 1 because it is one of the easiest decks to counter with the existence of Ash Blossom, Anti-Spell, Dimensional Barrier, but it is still a very powerful deck. Even with the loss of Expulsion, Branded can still put up very powerful interactions with Guardian Chimeras and Mirror Jades all over the place, and it is a deck to watch out for. Of course, we got to talk about a previous meta threat that should have had more time in the spotlight, to be honest, but it lost a very powerful piece, but I still think it's going to be very good. No Spells and Traps, Super Heavy Samurai. Of course, Super Heavy Samurai losing Scarecrow means it doesn't have 1-card combos anymore. Instead, it has a lot more 2-card combos, which can still end on those massive negate boards. Watch out for this deck, as if people are stopping to play Droll, then Super Heavy may kind of sneak in that combo every now and then. Special shout out, of course, to Rock Turbo, Adamancipator Super Heavy. That may give that deck a little bit of extra edge. Watch out on our channel for another deck profile on that as well. Moving on, of course, another previous meta contender, we have Labyrinth. Labyrinth thrives off of new metas, as, let's be honest, trap cards are really good. The existing build of IKEA Labyrinth, using a lot of those furniture, could see a little bit of a downfall, as without Gamma and without Droll and Lockbird, it might be a bit less popular than just running the 12 billion floodgates and skill drains in the world. Watch out for Labyrinth. It is always important to side in for this kind of deck. Next up, we have the new deck of the format from Battles of from Wild Survivors, the Vanquished Soul, the fighting game archetype. I do believe Vanquished Soul does have a potential to be very good. Has a lot of hand traps, fits in a lot of non-engine, and has just a very consistent resource loop. Sure, there are a couple floodgate points, or it can just lose on the spot. However, I do believe Vanquished Soul is sort of the new striker. Just control the game to a point where your opponent cannot do anything. And last but not least on our tier decks is, of course, Sword Soul. Sword Soul has always been a consistent contender. It consistently does one thing and one thing. It just synchros out your Shishao, your Barons, and your Blackouts. It's a very tried and tested strategy. With the release of Danglong off the ban list, you can play more greedier builds with the Yang Zing. 9 Pillars is a very good trap card. But I do believe if you're going to be playing Sword Soul, you have a couple of versions to pick from, whether you want to go Danglong or whether you want to go Pure. And that rounds off what I think will be tiered for this format. Next up, decks I can cope over. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about these decks. I think these decks are still very competitive and can still steal a lot of wins. They're just not as consistent nor as powerful as the decks I have shown before. But man, I cannot stress enough that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is all about having fun. And these decks are certainly fun if you find the appeal in their strategies. Let's start off with Catback Purely. Unfortunately, much like Super Heavy Samurai, Purely lost a lot of its oomph from the ban list. Although it lost 2 of its delicious memories, it suddenly cut its consistency down quite a bit. It is getting new support in Duelist Nexus, which is only a month away. So if you are looking to play a Purely strategy involved around your big towers and controlling the deck, controlling the game with that tower, then you can wait for Dune and it will have good support. But for now, it sits currently right here. Next up, Gardening Tutorial. If you want to teach the plants to link summon, of course, we have Rika Sun Avalon. This deck has put up massive results in the UK especially, and it is one of the combo decks of all time. Super Heavy Samurai was known for its one-card combos. Rika Sun Avalon probably did it first. Sunseed Genius Lokai is still a very powerful starter, and the plant deck still puts up a lot of interaction. With the loss of Drone Luckbird, it might even have a little bit of playability in this format. Although I will warn you, this is one of the most difficult combo decks to play. Discretion is advised. Following up this, we have a new deck from Photon Hypernova, Ballin, Gold Pride Punk. Gold Pride is a huge... Gold Pride in itself works super well with the existing Punk engine, and it creates a powerful strategy that revolves around the new card, Roller Baller, and its corresponding fusion. Being able to wipe out your opponent's board at a speed that no other deck can really respond to. If you're looking to play something unique with your Punk engine after the loss of your Hauka Fibrax and your Chaos Rulers, then I highly suggest playing Gold Pride Punk. It is super fun, and it does have cards which just play a little bit under some of our instant win cards that we'll talk about later. Next up, Quick Maths, Math Mech. Circular to 1, of course, hurt this deck's consistency quite a lot, but you already had a million ways to search that card anyway. You had your free Silent Mining, you have your free Small Worlds. You should be fine to keep playing Math Mech as it is. In saying that though, watch out for the new support in Monstrous Revenge. We have that new Link 1 Code Talker. Could give the deck a very powerful Code Talker Firewall engine that the deck used to have before. But now with Circular to 1, it might use it more again. Next up, Sky Striker. The deck obviously got a huge buff from the ban list. 2 engage and free multi-roll makes this deck very consistent and very obnoxious. On top of all that, Monstrous Revenge releases its new Link 2, making it a little bit more powerful. Sky Striker, again, is one of the most difficult decks to play, however. Pilots, beware. It is one of the most control-based strategies. You'll need a lot of patience to play this deck, but if you're interested in playing a very slow and very methodical game plan, I highly suggest playing Sky Striker. Next up, Visas Starfrost Vanadium. This deck is the synchro deck of the format. If you want to pick up Visas Starfrost and its lore archetypes respectively, now is a pretty good time to do it. It gained some new stuff from Monstrous Revenge. It could make use of the Assault Synchron. Additionally, it is due to get new support in Duelist Nexus, another deck waiting for that month to pass. If you're looking for a synchro deck, we're looking to use your Baron in a flashy way in the Visa Starfrost lore, I highly suggest Vanadium. Next up, Dinosaur. Now we got new support in Wild Survivors in the form of Transcendrakes, making this deck a very potent combo deck like it has always been, with the ability to just absolutely floor someone if they are forced to go second. The deck is very fragile, but it has huge payoff. One of the biggest payoffs, even bigger than some of even the top decks. If you're looking to play a very high risk, high reward combo deck, and you just want to resolve some dinosaurs on the board, dinosaurs have never been better. Next up, of course, we have Marincess. Marincess is a sort of Cyber deck that has sort of floated through the meta. It has always been on the brink of playable, but I think it has a little bit of space to get through thanks to its other Cybers variant, Mathmech, falling a little bit out of flavor. It is a Towers deck that builds up a massive Marincess protected with negates with Marincess Wave, as well as its own unaffected effect, while also being able to spit out a Zelantis going second to absolutely floor the board. If you're looking to play a Cybers deck with a very different win con, I highly suggest giving Marincess a try. And those are the decks that I think will sneak into the rogue tier this format. Now, those are the decks to play. However, those decks are just the cores. If you want to fill out your side deck slots and your main deck's non-engine slots with what we think is best, I have a list of things for you. Let's talk about our top 4 for the main deck. First of all, I would like to make a huge highlight to Dark Ruler No More. This card absolutely floors many of the top decks. It helps you out the Arise Heart. It completely negates the Sprite board. Dragon Link players will cry. It is one of the best cards that is pretty much uncontested. If you want to play a board breaker, this is the card to play. Additionally, cards like Triple Tactics Talents and Triple Tactics Thrust will let you play through the turn after your opponent hand traps you. The hand traps will be present in the format to some degree, and it's just a very good way to punish your opponent for doing so. I know it is expensive, but Kurakara Div Incarnate is still very powerful if you are able to afford it. Able to absolutely destroy boards, and just a very good skill check for opponents who are not respecting it. Kurakara has been a tried and tested card now. I think it is now a very good time to pick it up, although it is quite expensive. And last but not least, we gotta give special shoutouts to Cashiera Fenrir. This card is being chucked into everything now. People thought it would have been hit on the ban list. Alas, it has not. Fenrir is a powerful staple whether you're going first or going second. Always be aware of this card. Chuck it into your deck if you can. Be careful if you can't. Next up, of course, we gotta talk about the side deck. The side deck is up to you. It is entirely based on your local level or your regional level, what you expect to see at the table in front of you. You don't have to take the recent tournament results to heart every time you do this. However, if you're looking for some cards or somewhere to start, I highly recommend Evenly Matched, Drone Lockbird, Super Polymerization, and Lightning Storm. Personally, I think Evenly Matched and Lightning Storm are great for back row decks, and if you see a lot of back row, you need to have this card. Drone Lockbird is a catch-all for decks that still want a combo, and Drone Lockbird's popularity is maybe declining, but it could be a very surprise card against people not respecting it. And special shoutouts to Book of Moon. There are locks in the game that exist that can interrupt your plays, stuff like Arise Art, stuff like Ibli. Very good card to have, and a great budget option as well. And that was our meta list for the Yu-Gi-Oh! June 2023 meta. I hope you liked it. I'd like to hear from you in the comments what you'll be playing this format, and what are your thoughts on the ban list and the new decks coming out. I'd like to spark a healthy discussion and see if we can teach everyone who's viewing this video something new. We aim to be the best in the AOS. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to support us, and we'll see you in the next video.